Okay, guys, let's go ahead and get started. I have my yoga muse joining me. Come on. All right, so we're gonna start lying down today, so you can go ahead and go flat on your backs. Just get comfortable, really take a long stretch, reach the arms overhead, reach the feet out in front. And then just start to focus on your breathing. So we'll start with that 4-part breath, but keeping it pretty active. So breathing in through the nose, and then pause. Exhale through the mouth. Breathing in through the nose. Pause. And exhale out. And pause again. So you're just going to continue that pattern. Moving the breath, moving the belly, especially filling the lungs. And then on your next exhale, go ahead and bring your knees into your chest. So both knees are going to come in. And let's just start by rocking side to side, going from hip to hip. And then hug both knees into the chest. Bring your chin toward your chest, your forehead towards your knees, really rounding through the spine. Good, and then release down. You're gonna grab onto the right hamstring, extend the right foot up toward the ceiling or toward the sky, in our case. And just flex and point the foot a couple times. So pull it back and forward, back and forward. Do some circles with the ankle. Separate the toes. And then I want you to add a little bit of resistance. So you're going to press the hamstring into the hands. And then again, just do that flexion, point, and flex the foot. Go ahead and release the hamstring. Take both arms out to the side. And you're going to walk the left foot out just a little bit. And then bring the right leg across your body. Just nice, easy first twist here. If you need to, you can let the right shoulder come off the floor. Just see what's going on in the low back. Try to do at least one of those 4-part breaths here. And then you're going to bend the right knee, bring it back over, put your right foot on the ground, and take the left leg up, grabbing onto the hamstring. And again, you're going to flex and point the toe, circle at the ankle. And then after you've done that a few times, apply a little bit of resistance. So you're going to press the hamstring into the hands, resist back, bring your shoulders down, and then again, just flex and point. And then you're going to release the leg, bring the arms out to the side, Walk the right foot out a little bit more and then come across into that twisted position. Let your left arm come up, or left shoulder come off the floor. Full cycle of breath here. And one more. And then you're going to bend the left leg, roll back to the center, put both feet flat on the mat so your knees are bent, arms are by your sides, and we're just going to lift up. So start by peeling your tailbone away from the floor, and then coming up, lifting into this nice easy bridge. While you're in this bridge though, I want you to think about driving your heels into the floor and actually pulling the heels back towards the hips. Feel some activation in the hamstrings and the glutes. Keep your shoulders nice and relaxed. Take your head side to side. Just a little bit of movement. Press the shoulder blades back into the ground to lift up a little bit higher. And then release it down. So you're going to bring the arms overhead, just like you did in that first full body stretch. And now when you clasp onto the right leg, this time you're going to bring it in, clasp onto the shin. And we're going to, again, create just a little bit of resistance. So I want you pulling down with your hands while you resist up with the leg, creating that resistance, and then breathe. So press the low back into the floor, deep breath. And resist. Good, and now you're gonna go the other way. So bring your hands above the knee. I'm gonna push the leg away and resist back. So go ahead and do that one. Same thing, active through the core. On the exhale, think about bringing the rib cage down, staying really connected between the rib cage and the hips. And then release. Take the right leg straight out in front. Stretch the arms overhead. As you're doing this, I want you to shift your hips. So bring your left hip a little bit higher. Reach with the right foot. Good, and then back to center. Let's reset with a bridge. So bring your feet flat to the floor. Peel up from the tailbone. And then back down. Let's do the same thing on the other side. This time you're going to bring the left leg in, clasping onto the shin. Apply a little bit of resistance. So press the shin up into the hands pull back. Activate the core, bring the rib cage back towards the floor, deep breath in. And then change your position. So I'm going to bring the hands above the knee, and again, resist. This time I'm bringing the leg back, pushing the hands away. Just starting with some work to get your low back a little bit warm, loosen things up. Good, apply that compression and then release. Take the left foot all the way out. So you're gonna reach with the left heel and then hike the right hip up. Take the arms overhead. Full breath here. All right, so bring the leg back in. One last time, feet flat on the mat. Lift your hips, find that bridge pose. Press your shoulders back, create a little bit more rise. And then from here, you're just gonna make your way up to a seated position so you can roll onto your side, press yourself up. And then we're going to come forward and find our child's pose. In this child's pose, come on up, walk your hands to the right, take your hips to the left. Drop your forehead towards the mat. Let the shoulders relax. Feeling that nice lengthening from the left hip, maybe even in the glutes, all the way up through the shoulder, maybe even into the tricep a little bit. And then come back up through the center, walk your hands all the way over to the other side, hips to the right this time. And then walk your way back to the center. Find your child's pose. And from your child's pose now, come up to all fours. We're just going to extend the right leg back. So as I extend back, I'm going to keep it low because I want to keep my hips really square. Flex the foot and lift from the heel. Keep your head in neutral. And just again, waking up the hamstrings, waking up the glutes, back side of the body. And then switch. So drop the right knee, take the left leg back. Keep it low first because I want you to really set the hips. Feel and notice what's going on in the low back, and then lift from the heel. Keep everything neutral. And just squeeze a couple times as you take that leg up. Good. Drop the left leg. Come back to child's pose one more time. Come up onto your fingertips this time and really work on rounding through the low spine. Low back. And then we can start to look forward in our child's pose, getting into the thoracic spine a little bit. And then you're going to come back the other way. So I'm going to round up again. And this is almost like a cat-cow variation that you're doing, just doing it in child's pose. Good. Now you're going to tuck your toes, lift your hips, and take downward facing dog. So first one, nice and gentle, walk out through the heels. One foot presses down at a time. So we're focusing a lot today just on movement in the spine, finding a range of motion. So now I want you to come up on your toes, turn your heels out so your toes face each other, and then start to press back into your downward facing dog. And just notice how this feels in the outside of the legs, maybe the low back, the hips. You can bend your knees a few times and then straighten again. Now you're going to come back up, toes to the center, and then walk them out. So I'm going to have my heels come in this time. And I'm going to do the same thing, just pressing back gently. And if this is too much on the shoulders, again, you can walk your hands back a little bit more. Our focus is not necessarily on maintaining that full downward facing dog, but more on what's going on in the low back and the hips. Couple easy knee bends. They're not going to be real deep. And then let's come back to the center. So now find your downward facing dog. Look forward, walk your feet up to meet your hands. And take forward fold. So you can bend your knees here. Try to bring the rib cage to rest on the upper thigh. You can also cross your arms and rest this way. And I just want you to, one leg at a time, move the knees. So I'm going to bend and straighten. And then let your body rest. Take your arms forward. And now you can go and do this side to side motion if that feels good. If you want to just stay where you are, you can stay where you are. See if while you're in this position, you can lift your toes, really feeling through the heels, through the whole foot. Now we're just going to walk our way up the legs. So bring your hands up. We're going to come all the way up, reach the arms overhead, interlace the hands, stretch toward the sky, stretch towards the ceiling, wherever you are, and then go side to side, hands behind the head, side to side, and bring the arms down by your sides. Just do a couple of shoulder rolls here, a couple of shoulder shrugs, and then arms overhead. Go ahead and lower back down. So we're going to keep the left foot in front. We're going to take the right foot back, stepping into your lunge. Drop the back knee down. And now you're going to bring the left arm into a cactus position. So your arm is going to be at 90 degrees. And I'm just going to start to twist. And as I twist, bring the elbow down and back. Think about moving the shoulder blade though. So the arm stays in that 90-degree angle. And again, you can have your right hand, you can be on your fingertips, you can have a block. So then we're going to draw the shoulder blade onto the back, really opening up. Don't worry about straightening the arm, but we're going to lift the right knee off the floor. Good. And if it feels good, go ahead and stretch the left arm forward. Drop the knee down. Draw the arm back down into that 90-degree angle if you moved. And then you're going to close, step back to your child's pose. Nice breath in. Inhale, come forward. And you can do this first one on your knees. Press the floor away, nice and active through the shoulders, and just lower down about halfway. And then push back up, right back into your child's pose. So we're going to flow that. So I want you to come forward on your inhale. Actively push the floor away. Exhale halfway down. Inhale, push back up. Exhale, round back to your child's pose. So let's do that a couple more times on your own. Stretching it out as much as you like. And after this third one, you're going to go ahead and rest in your child's pose. Come up halfway, take the left arm, weave it under the right, and bring the left shoulder down towards the floor. And then take a deep breath in. Really expand into the thoracic spine, the back side of the ribs. Curl your tailbone under so you're rounding in the lumbar spine. And then on your exhale, you're going to come back up. Take the left arm in front of the right. So you're going to draw the right arm back. Ease back into your child's pose. And again, just getting some length in the left side. And then come on back up. Walk your hands slightly forward, tuck your toes, downward facing dog. Shift your weight forward, look forward, walk your feet up to your hands. And forward fold. So let's get a little bit deeper into that spinal flexion and extension here. So we're going to bring the hands to the shins. Inhale, come halfway up, drop your hips, shoulder blades back, and then exhale forward. Back to your forward fold. Inhale it up. And exhale it down. Inhale it up. Exhale it back. So do that a couple more times on your own. If you feel like you want to hold one of those positions, you can feel free to do that. I'm going to hold here in this half lift. Just focusing on getting some length in the spine, really activating the shoulders, and then back to your forward fold if you're not there already. And walk your hands up your legs. Nice support above the knees. Round, bring your tailbone down. And then all the way up with the arms, reach toward the sky. Exhale, come back down, touch the floor. So we'll do the same thing we did with that lunge on the other side. Take the left foot back and drop the knee. The left hand is going to stay on the ground. The right hand is going to come into this 90-degree angle. And so I've got this cactus arm. Now as I go to twist, I'm going to slide my shoulder blade back and open up. So because the arm's not straight, we're sort of taking the extension piece out of it and just focusing on the activation. Good, and then you're going to hold. Take the left knee off the ground. And if it feels accessible, take the right arm and stretch it a little bit out over the head. And then drop back. Lower the back knee down. Both hands come down to the floor. Step it back, child's pose. And again, just take the hips maybe side to side here. Now you've got some options. So when you go to flow this time, we're going to come forward on the knees, but if you'd like, you can tuck your toes, come up to a full plank, halfway down on your exhale. Inhale, take it up. Exhale, back to either downward facing dog or child's pose. So now just because you're doing this and you might be on your toes, don't feel like you need to rush it. We're going to still try to move nice and slow. And if you've done a couple one way and you want to switch to the other way, go ahead and do that. You'll do 2 more rounds on your own. And then when you're done, we'll meet in child's pose. So even if you were in your downward facing dog, drop to your knees. And then we'll come part way up, thread the right arm under the left, bring the right shoulder down, let your head rest, and breathe. When you untangle yourself, you're going to bring the right arm forward. So the right arm is in front of the left, or the right hand is in front of the left. And then you're going to come back. Just find that length through the right side of the body. Good. And walk your way back. Full child's pose now. Bring your forehead to the mat. Take your arms back by your sides. Couple deep breaths. And then bring the arms out in front. Tuck your toes and let's come back up to our downward facing dog. Walk your feet forward. and take forward fold. Lift, inhale, come halfway up. Exhale back to your forward fold. And this time you're going to inhale, walk your way all the way up, supporting yourself on your legs if you need to. Reach the arms overhead. And now you're going to, standing at the top of your mat, just separate your hands. And we're just going to go side to side. So you don't have to interlace the hands and keep them separate. And just shift side to side. Good. Bring both hands behind the head. Send the elbows slightly forward. Press your head back into your hands and just lift. Shrug the shoulders. Open up a little bit. Press the head back. Resist slightly, taking the hands forward. And then release the resistance there. Take the arms up and you're going to come back down, forward fold. Step your right foot back. And this time, pivot your right heel down to the mat. So we're going to pivot so that that back foot is mostly parallel to the back edge. And then we're just going to come up, find warrior two. In our warrior two now, let's just get some range of motion. So we're going to lift up. And then I'm going to bring the elbow down just above the knee, shrug the right shoulder. So we'll get to where we extend the arm, just not yet. Inhale, reach up. Exhale and shrug. Inhale it up. Exhale and shrug. This time from the shrug, go ahead and just take the arm straight up and overhead. On your exhale, think about connecting in the core. And then lower back down. Step back to downward facing dog. Drop to your knees. So we're going to experiment with a little drill that we did last week. So from the knees, I want you to stack, so your left foot's going to come behind. And so the bottom half of the body is twisted. The hands are in this plank position. Now from here, you're just going to lower halfway down and come back up. Lower halfway down and come back up. Halfway down and come back up. This time, maybe walk the left hand in toward the center just a little bit and take the arms up. So now you're in this modified plank. And breathe here. Let's get some range of motion with the right shoulder. So I'm going to bring the hand down, leading with the thumb. Open up. So there's a lot happening in the core here. I'm really moving the rib cage down towards the hip. And one more time, take it up and straight up and hold. And then drop it back down. Walk the feet back in and back to your downward facing dog. Look forward, walk up. Forward fold at the top of your mat. Inhale, come all the way up, walking up your legs, or just nice and active, arms reach high. Bring the arms down into that cactus position, just reminding ourselves. Bring the bottom tips of the shoulder blades together, nice and active in the lats, maybe turning the palms a couple times, and then reach up again. Exhale back to your forward fold. Go ahead and step the left foot back, pivot the back heel down, and then come up, you'll find warrior two. Nice and strong in this warrior two. And then just range of motion. Right arm reaches up. Right elbow down. Shrug the left shoulder. Just the shrug right now. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, bring it down and shrug. This time, you're going to shrug it up and then reach with a straight arm Bring it overhead. And go ahead, bring it down to the mat. So we're gonna step it back, drop to our knees, bring the knees to the left side of the mat, bring the feet over to the right side. So I've got a little bit of a twist happening here. And then slowly lower down halfway and come back up. Halfway down and come back up. Last time, halfway down and come back up. And then this time, really activate through the obliques here and take the left arm up. So now I'm in this side plank. Just find some range of motion, whatever feels good with the left arm. And then back to full extension with the arm, just reach toward the sky. Bring the hands down, pivot your feet, and take it back to downward facing dog. Come forward into your plank, lower all the way down. And as you come all the way down this time, let's again go back to those cactus arms. So 90-degree angles with the elbows. I'm going to squeeze the feet together, squeeze the legs, and just lift up. And come back down. Lift up. And back down. You can rotate the hands here if that feels good. But if this is a struggle, don't worry so much about the hands. We're thinking about getting some lift, squeezing through the upper back, noticing how that impacts what we're feeling in other parts of the spine. Bring it up and hold. And an option here now is to reach it forward and kind of swim it back. Reach it forward and swim it back. Place your hands right next to your rib cage, either to your knees or to your toes. Shoulders lift, head lifts. Push away from the floor and take it back into your child's pose. Downward facing dog. Come on up. Look towards your hands, walk your feet up. And here's your forward fold. Walk your hands all the way up, either walking up the legs or just kind of drifting up. Arms reach high. Exhale right back down, all the way down to the mat. Step the right foot back. So this time we're going to come into this 90-90 angle. 90-90 with both legs. And you can have the back toe either tucked or you can have it flat. Just depends on what feels better on your kneecaps. Take your left arm up. And as we take the left arm up, I want you to bring your right hand just to your lower back. Provide a little bit of resistance now. So I'm going to slightly press back into the arm, into the hand. Left arm reaches. And then I'm going to bring the hand down behind my head and lean into the right. So my left elbow comes up. I'm still putting a little bit of resistance in the back. Let the right shoulder drop. Good, and now you're going to switch. Take the right arm up, bring the left hand behind. A little bit of resistance. Press the left hand forward. Press the hips back into the hand. Hand comes behind the head, and then take it over. Breathing. Head is in neutral. And release. Good. Both hands reach forward. We're going to come into a lizard here. So my hands are to the inside of the left leg. My right knee is still down. And I can start to work my way a little bit closer to the floor, or I can just stay up. Sometimes we just want to work within that range of motion, especially if something's feeling tight. You can move around in the hips here. You can start to drop, or you don't have to. Good, then you're gonna come up, back onto the hands, walk your way back, lift your left toes off the mat, and then curl in. So you're gonna stay a little bit higher, pull your toes towards your face, bring your forehead towards your knee, and round. Okay, now when you come forward, walk the left foot back a little bit if you need to. I want you to come forward enough so that you can get off the right kneecap and bring the foot back. So I'm going to stay high on my fingertips. And I just want you to flex the right foot and then pull the right heel in as close as you can to your glutes. You may feel your hamstrings protest a little bit. If you feel a little cramp and you can breathe through it, try to do that. Squeeze and release. Good. Step the left foot back. Knees into your child's pose. Walk the hands now over to the left side of your mat, come up to your knees, step your right foot forward. So we're in this 90-90 position again. Remember, back toes can be tucked or they can be flat. So we're gonna come up, left hand is gonna go on the small of the lower back, and we're gonna create some resistance. So I'm gonna press back into the hand, draw the shoulder blade back, and then take the right arm up. Just being really aware if there are differences between the two sides. We already did this on the other side, so maybe noticing if this feels different. Bring the right hand behind the head and then tip, taking it over to the left. And then come up, switch hands. So now the right hand comes on the small of the back, the left hand goes overhead. Apply that resistance and draw the shoulder blade back. And then hand comes behind the head. And now keeping the elbow back, you're just gonna tip over to the right. Good, and release. Bring the hands down to the mat. So you're gonna reposition the right foot a little bit. Make your way down towards this lizard lunge. And so remember, you have lots of options. You can just kind of move here, take some range of motion stuff. You can start to work your way down a little bit closer to the mat. Maybe coming down onto the elbows or a block if you have one. And then you're gonna work your way up. Pull the right toes off the floor. Flex, maybe try to separate the toes if you can. Bring your chin toward your chest, forehead towards your knee, and really drive the right heel into the mat. And then release. Walk the hands forward, bring the right foot around, and take it back in your child's pose. All right, we forgot to flex the hamstring, so walk your hands back over to the left, bring your right foot forward again. Slide the right foot back a little bit and then shift forward so that you're off the left kneecap. And then you're just going to bring the heel towards the glutes and really actively pull it in. Squeeze for 3, 2, and 1, release. All right, go ahead now, let's step it back. Downward facing dog. Come up onto your toes and let's revisit that position we did in the very beginning. So bring your toes in, take your heels out, and then let your heels drop. They probably won't touch, that's okay. Just creating some internal rotation in the hips. And then come back to your toes, walk your feet out, toes out, heels in, and then drop your heels down. This time we're externally rotating. And then back to downward facing dog. This time take your feet wide. So you're gonna go as wide as your mat. Walk your hands back and take this wide-legged forward fold at the back of the mat. And you can drop your hips slightly, maybe grabbing onto the big toes. Look up, and then back to your forward fold. And one more time, dropping into your squat. And release. Walk your hands back forward to the front of the mat, drop to your knees, and you're just gonna come to a seat. So you can sit cross-legged, you can sit on your knees, whatever is comfortable for you here. We're just gonna do a couple of twists. So I'm gonna start by taking the right hand to the left knee. Easy twist. Now an option here is I can bring my left hand to my left rib cage and kind of move that back just so that I feel really locked in the position. Just gentle compression, and then I'm gonna breathe. And then release, reach the left hand back, and come back to the front. Same thing, we'll go to the other side now. So left hand to right knee. Easy twist. And then right hand can come to the rib cage, and I can use that to just really feel like I'm in the position. Add a little bit of compression on the ribs, breathe against the hand. And then reach the right arm back, finish the twist. And then come back to the front. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and lie down. We're gonna do a variation of pigeon, and then we'll finish with a couple twists. So on your back, this is one of my favorite variations of pigeon. I'm just gonna take the right leg and cross the ankle onto the left knee. And before we do anything else, I'm gonna use my muscles to move the right knee out and away from the body. So I'm using a little bit of resistance there. The left knee stays strong as something that I can push against, but I'm doing this on my own without pushing my hands. And then you can release that. Take the left foot up, loop your hands around your left hamstring. And let's keep that 90-90. And now we're gonna actively resist. So I'm gonna draw the left leg in towards me, and then I'm gonna resist it back. This allows me to create some tension so that I can expand the rib cage, create some stability here. Good, then we're gonna release, lower the left foot down to the mat, hook onto some part of the right leg. So I can grab the ankle, maybe the big toe, the foot, but my objective here now is to drive the knee out to the side. And then get some extension. So it could be by holding onto the toe, it can be holding onto the ankle. We're not gonna try to lock it out straight. Instead, we're just gonna bend and straighten a couple times and see what happens. Then you're gonna hold. While you're doing this, take the left arm out. And then to release, we're gonna go back to that position we started with, just taking the right leg across the body. Reaching through the foot. And then bring it back in, bend the top leg, come back to the center. And we just want to reset the spine. So lift the hips, bridge up, and come back down. Same thing on the other side, that pigeon variation, crossing the left leg over the right. And then just using the stability of the right leg to drive the left knee out and away from the body. And then you can release, loop the hands around the hamstring, take the knee up so that we're in that 90-degree position, resist a little bit. So by turning on that resistance, we're activating the muscles, we're creating some stability. But then we can find the range of motion that we're comfortable with. That muscle activation keeps us from overstretching. And then release, put the right foot down, grab onto some part of the left leg, take the left knee out and away from the body. So I'm not necessarily trying to bring it towards my armpit. I'm just trying to get a little bit of a different angle here. And then try to keep the right knee from dropping out to the side. And you're just gonna work on that bending and straightening. Hold it at the end range of your motion, not necessarily straight, maybe shaking a little bit. And then bring the leg all the way across, take the right arm out. And really reach with the foot. So you're gonna reach forward. And again, in this variation, the left shoulder can come off the floor. And then bend the top leg, bring it back in, feet to the mat. Go ahead and lift up, reset the spine. Drop it down. Walk your feet together now. And you're just gonna let your knees drop out to the sides. So depending on how this feels, you may wanna take the feet further away from the body, or you can bring them in a little bit closer. If you have something to provide you support, maybe a pillow or yoga blocks or something like that, you can also prop them up. You can also use your fists right underneath your hips. That's what I'm gonna do. And we're just gonna breathe here. So I want you to go back to that 4-part breath. Allowing the hips to open. With each exhale, thinking about letting go, letting everything kind of drop and relax. And then using your hands, go ahead and bring your knees back together. Walk your feet out. So your knees are gonna touch. You're gonna take your feet out as wide as your mat. And this is one of our constructive rest positions. So in this position, we can allow the lower back to fully relax. The knees are supported, leaning against each other. And we'll just take a few breaths here. This is a good one to check in and see if there are differences between the two sides of the body. Notice if one hip feels more able to rotate than the other. And that's not necessarily a good or a bad thing. We don't necessarily want or need more rotation, but we do want to feel like we're balanced. And then you can stay here if you'd like to spend your Savasana or your final resting pose in this position. You're more than welcome to do that. Otherwise, we're going to just walk the feet in and then stretch them out in front. Stretch the arms overhead. Big full body stretch here. And maybe just shift the hips. So take one hip higher and then the other. Finding neutral. Walk the feet out a little bit so that they're about as wide as your mat. Let them roll open. And then any adjustments that you might need to take so that you can be comfortable and still just for the next 2 or 3 minutes. You can allow your palms to turn up, or you can bring the hands just below the rib cage and really focus your attention on your breathing. When you feel like you're ready to start to move again, bring your arms overhead. If you're still in that bent knee position, go ahead and do the full body stretch. Bring your right knee in, hug it in, and then your left. And then maybe both knees come in, arms out to the side, and you're just gonna bring your knees side to side, almost like you were gonna tap the floor. And then you're going to roll yourself up. Find your comfortable seat. Sit up nice and tall. Take your head side to side. And then forward and back. Press the shoulders down. Shrug them up a couple times. Interlace the hands, roll forward. Separate the hands and roll back. And then whatever movements you need just to finish up your practice today. Thanks very much, guys.